How I got my job with the NFL, MLB, and NHL. I think we're gonna need to sit down for this one. Basically, this is just gonna be like a fast timeline of when I started my creative journey to where I am now. I got a whole list of bulletin points to make sure I stay on track. So the first thing I can remember with anything creative was Vine. I wasn't ever in front of the camera, I wasn't ever filming myself, doing Vines or anything like that. I was actually taking clips off of YouTube or wherever I could. I don't even know how I did it back then. I would just put some like crazy EDM music over it, change the colors, something like that. That's kind of like one of the first memories I have of my creative journey. So that was my freshman year of high school, so 2014, I think. Then later on, VSCO became a thing. VSCO was a pretty cool creative outlet. It was something different, something new. All my buddies were on it, so it was really fun to mess around, just get creative with it. So by that time, it was about 2016, my sophomore, junior year of high school. One of my buddies who I was hanging out with, Joey Harris, who's currently crushing it in photography in New York City. He was more on the side of the photography things, and I more so wanted to be on the video side. So that's kind of when he inspired me to pick up a camera. He also introduced me to Jay Alvarez and Sam Calder. Sam Calder is definitely somebody who I credit just giving me inspiration on even starting in the creative field. So after Joey kind of inspired me with, you know, his creativity and just how cool it was and different from what everybody else was doing, that inspired me to pick up a camera. So I ended up picking up my mom's old Nikon. I don't remember what Nikon it was, but it had video. Pretty much my junior summer, maybe sophomore summer, I can't remember. I would start just filming everything with my friends, including Joey, just making recaps of, you know, summers, trips we would take together, whatever it was, really just anything to have an excuse to film. So then get to my senior year of high school, which is 2017, 2018, I got to start filming my high school football games. We weren't the greatest, but it was still super fun just to give those guys something to look back on, something for, you know, me and my class to look back on. And then the same year, 2017, Christmas, my dad actually gifted me my first camera. I didn't really know much about cameras. I thought all cameras came with a lens. And so my dad actually got me a Lumix Panasonic GH3, and it was just the body. Then we ended up getting a lens for it. It was a prime, and that was my whole setup. I think it was a 35 mil. That was my setup for like the next year. And so after that, went on to college to play tennis for 1 year. And then I dropped out due to some major life situations that happened. The fall after I dropped out, I started taking, you know, family photos, real estate photography for my mom, just to kind of test out the waters and see how the freelance career was. I decided that after that little hiatus from college, I wanted to go back, finish my eligibility. I had met my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife. So obviously I wanted to go back to school, be with her, play tennis, do the whole shebang. And then my mom, crazy enough, about 2 weeks before I was supposed to move in back to school, she was like, "You're not going, you've made too many connections, you have something good going for you, I think you need to stay out. Most parents want you to go to school, do that whole thing, and here my mom is telling me not to go back to school to do some whack photography career that I don't even have." So that was January of 2020 when I wanted to go back to school, and then obviously ended up not going back to school. So then after we decided I wasn't going back to college, I then purchased a Sony a7 III, and so that is when I decided to go full in on YouTube University. So many Gary Vee videos, watched so many Sam Calder videos just to get inspired. One of the Gary Vee videos I came across was this video about reaching out, connecting, DMing anybody and everybody you can find. Because the worst they can say is no, or just not get back to you. That's what I did. In the Jacksonville area, I DM'd every athlete that was committed to a school. I DM'd every trainer I could, every college I could, just to get my foot in the door. I knew I was gonna be making free work for a little bit, just to get my foot in the door, like I said. And so I got a couple gigs, I got a couple athletes that reached out to me. Then after countless DMs of just annoying and bugging people, I came upon Denny Thompson. Denny is a quarterback developer who trains guys all the way from when they can pick up a ball to the league. Initially, I just offered Denny to shoot for him one time, give him some free content. Denny had a lot bigger vision than I did. Denny and I had a meetup. He wanted to bring me on pretty much full time, and I was just baffled because I barely had any work to show for. So he brought me on in February, March of 2020, and basically my role during my year or so with Denny was videographer, photographer, content producer, social media strategist, running 3 accounts, trying to post daily, keyword trying. It was insane for my first sports job. I definitely think that year or so working as much as I did definitely helped prepare me for where I'm at today. So during that year, I made a ton of connections, met so many cool guys, great guys, developed meaningful relationships. So then I found out that there was this thing called a live content creator for the MLB. Going back to my Gary Vee days, DM'd every LCC I could find. And just super grateful to these guys that I can think of off the top of my head. Pete Gottschalk, Matt Grimes, Matt Faraci, Matt Fosnot. There's definitely a lot more that I'm forgetting that actually got back to me and just helped me throughout my creative career. Hey, Bubba. So during that 2020 year, early 2021, just took the time to build relationships with those guys in particular, and tried to just connect with all the other MLB LCCs. And then early 2021, I got to shoot the Reese Senior Bowl. That was one of my first credentialed events that I ever shot by myself. Granted, I did get to shoot a lot of things with Denny and the quarterback development company, but this was kind of my first one-off gig that I got on my own, that I traveled to by myself, and then really just got to be my own creative person and do whatever I wanted. Also, I got to do a shoot with Gardner Minshew right after the Senior Bowl down in South Florida. Shortly after that, I felt like my portfolio was starting to gain some traction, had some good stuff in it, and then I just went out and applied for the MLB LCC job. I also did not know that when I took the interview for the MLB LCC position, that the person interviewing me, Lucas Stevenson, was actually somebody who I had been DMing and just picking his brain about the creative process. After receiving word that I had got the job, I then proposed to my now wife, and we moved down to St. Pete, Florida to film with the Tampa Bay Rays. First year of LCC with MLB went great. So in 2021, my first year with MLB, I just saw how cool the environment was to be a team photographer, team videographer. It was just something that I was drawn to and I wanted to be a part of. So initially, I just wanted to put my years in with MLB and then move on, go be a videographer for a team. So a lot of applications went out and a lot of applications were denied, thankfully, because I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. So fast forward, the 2022 season comes upon us. I had applied for this job that I had made it all the way to the final interview. I definitely thought I was gonna get it, but did not end up getting it. And so I was super bummed out, just really didn't know where I wanted to go with this creative career. And then all of a sudden I see this post on Instagram saying that the NFL is looking for an LCC for the Buccaneers. I ended up applying for the job and then actually got interviewed over the phone by one of my colleagues in MLB. So that was a really cool connection there. That's why it's really important to make connections. And then the same day that I had my NFL interview, the NHL actually reached out to me over LinkedIn asking for an interview. And then after my NFL call, I felt really good about where it was and I had the impression that I was gonna get hired. My NHL call about 30 minutes later was just flat out asking me if I wanted the job. I really didn't know what I was gonna do. There was so many options on the table. So I took some time to think about it because I didn't know if I should try and juggle all 3 LCC positions. There's also a couple of other LCCs that I've seen do the same thing. That encouraged me to take both jobs. And then in August of 2022, I had the NHL LSC position, the NFL LCC position, and the MLB LCC position. And then fast forward currently to 2023, I shoot for all pro teams in Tampa Bay in the LCC program, as well as still hold remote editing jobs and freelance gigs. Honestly, my wife, Lena, she helped me through the whole thing, just keeping me calm and making sure I had a level head when making these decisions, and as well as praying through the whole thing. I wouldn't have any of these opportunities if it wasn't for Jesus and my relationship with him. So that is the SparkNotes version of my creative timeline, how I got to where I am, kind of the background of where I came from creatively. I hope this benefits you guys in some way. I hope this inspires some of you to keep crushing it. And then I also just want to say that everybody's timeline is different. Everybody's creative path is different. I'm well aware, at 22 years old that my timeline, sped up a little bit. But there's also things in my past that made me grow up a little bit more as well. Just keep crushing it. Just be patient with where you're at. Be confident where you're at. Keep producing amazing work. Don't leave any doubts. You guys are gonna get to where you wanna be. I really appreciate it if you guys made it to the end of this video. I know it was a little longer. I would really appreciate it if you guys would like and subscribe. That is gonna do it for this video. I appreciate you guys. Peace.